let's take a look at the basic DOM XSS. So as usual, I'll launch the lab and I'll try a basic XSS attack. And a quick indication is that this has worked because we can see the italics. So let's have a look at the source code and work out what's going on. So I can see my payload has been reflected here. However, what's slightly surprising is that it appears to be escaped. So let's just look a little bit more at the page context. So the value has come through in a hidden field with the ID name, and so because it's escaped, we've got to ask ourselves, why are we seeing the italicized text? So if we look at this script here, what it's doing is it's getting an element by ID. So that ID name is this hidden field, and it's extracting its value. Now, if we just think about conceptually what's happening, the browser parses all these HTML entities, so the value that JavaScript sees will have a literal less than and greater than character rather than the HTML escape. Now, it takes this value and it assigns it to inner HTML on this span here. And inner HTML is risky because it can allow cross-site scripting attacks. So what's happened is, although we appear to have the right escaping here, the JavaScript on the page has made us vulnerable. And this is a variation of XSS called DOM-based XSS. Okay, so let's just, for completeness, let's just try breaking out of an attribute value. And we can see the quote as well is escaped. So from an initial look, any direct attacks on this input are going to be unsuccessful. But let's try injecting script and seeing what happens. So I'll grab the JavaScript payload, paste it in. Right, well, no impact as far as we can see. The payload's not run. So let's look at the source. Okay, so the payload has been reflected, albeit with sanitization. So a feature that we need to know about inner HTML is that it doesn't support script tags. So we need to use something else. We could use the technique we saw in attribute XSS, but I tend to use something slightly different. So what we're going to do is inject an image tag. We're going to use an onError handler, put the payload in there, and then we're going to say source equals x. X being a file that doesn't exist, so it's going to immediately trigger the error. So let's submit that, and there we go. There's our payload executing. And just as a final check, let's take that URL, let's paste it in here, and let's see if this works on the headless browser. And there we go. We've successfully solved the lab. Now, modern web apps tend to make very heavy use of JavaScript and client-side rendering. So this variation of XSS is really important when it comes to exploiting modern web applications.